Welcome back everyone for Retro Restore, where we are going to be taking apart this Philips CDI. Had to put the controller on there because otherwise it'd look just like a VCR. So I'm not going to get too much into the history of these, but this big block of beast here is the Philips CDI 220. There were a lot of different models of it. There's some like the 400 series, some actually looked more like gaming consoles. There's even portable one in the 300 series, but this big beast here is probably the most common one that you will see. And there's an issue with the disk drive on this one. If I just tilt that, it just pops open and comes out. So I'm going to take this apart and get it all cleaned up inside because I know it's pretty dusty inside, and see if there's some easy way to fix the disk drive. So we will start by taking out the 2 screws on this side, 2 on this side, and 3 in the back. And we are using the Torx T8. Okay, we have taken those 7 screws out now, so let's remove this case. It just lifts up to here, and then you can take that off. And I already see that is disgusting. A whole bunch of dust and wood chips, and I don't know if those are dead bug parts, but it's all on that one side. The other side where the disc goes actually looks nice and clean. This thing is just so bulky and heavy to move around. I am surprised this has not shorted out when I used it. So just to see the extent of this disgusting looking part, you're going to remove this part here. So using the same bit, there's 1 screw there, 1 here, and then we have a nice line of screws on the back that will have to be removed too. So I'll start with the ones on the top. Luckily these are all the same size as the other ones, so if you get them mixed up, you don't have to worry about it. And now for the back. So those are the ones for everywhere else. That's the one for the back. So the back actually has some longer ones on it. So make sure you keep the ones for the back of this plastic area separate. So from the back, you had to remove the screw on this side, on the top, right here on this side, and then on the bottom. So just barely on the right and left, and then the top and the bottom. Then we'll remove these 2 brown wires from each of these little connector areas. And then be careful when you lift this up from the front, because this chip connects down into the board. So let's grab both sides here and lift up, and then remove this unit. Honestly, I was expecting to find like a dead mouse or something in there. So what I'm going to do now, just so I don't get all of this in the office here because how gross it is, I'm going to take this to the garage and use a can of air on it. Make sure if you're using one of these, you're in a well-ventilated area. And then I'll continue cleaning it with other stuff when I get back up here. There we go, that is looking way better over on that side. So if you want to see the board close up on here, this is how awesome the Philips CDI looked. So one thing I need to fish out, there's a little piece of plastic that has broken off of something down here. It's a little F, so it's broken off something, I have no clue what. So if you are messing with one of these, this section here, the one that was really dusty and everything, you don't really want to mess with too much stuff on here. That's where the power comes in. These capacitors can be very dangerous. So unless you know what you're doing, then definitely don't mess with these areas. So there's a little bit of dust left on things, but it's actually not that bad. Most of it just blew off of here. So I don't think I'm gonna have to worry about doing any additional cleaning on here, because the rest of the board is pretty clean. So let's take a look at this disk drive here. Okay, so this disk drive just kind of slides right out of there. So we will go ahead and plug this in and take a look at how this works. So we have the power button, and then the tray open button is this one down here. Okay, so it opened up and it didn't close up all the way. Yeah, this was the issue I was having when I was trying this out. Put a disc in there and couldn't get it to close up all the way. When I finally got it to close up, it just wouldn't even open anymore. So one common issue that the Philips CDI had was the tray here. Down inside here, there's a gear with a little, like, almost like a rubber band, and that would just go bad over time because rubber likes to dry rot. So what we're going to do is open this up all the way here. So you'll need a little bit of a longer Torx one, using a T8 right here from Cobalt. And when this is extended back all the way, down here, You can get it latched right in, and there's a screw that needs to come out. And then once again on this side, there's another one, the same type. And those ones are the same shape and size as all the other ones from outside, not including the ones for that big piece that goes here. Then our next step is to remove the 2 bolts that are right here. And this one, the shorter magnetic one, will actually do just fine. And those are long bolts. Okay, so we got both of those out. And kind of pull this back. We don't need to really disconnect anything, just move it this way. There's our nice little rubber band. So there's this little door here. It moves about that far away. What you do is lift up on this end, like move it back a little bit, lift up on this end, and then you can move it further. So now we have full access to that, and there is quite a bit of play in that. So we'll go ahead and remove it. So my recommendation when it comes to the belt is to get a good replacement belt for it. Don't do what I did. I cannot recommend at all. I won't even tell what it is I did to this, but I treated the belt with something to get it to work correctly. But the chemical is dangerous, so I'm not going to get into the details of that. So then after replacing the belt, we'll move this plastic part back over. You kind of lift it up from underneath here to get it over that little latch, and then it can slide back in place. Then we will close this door and align the drive back into place. Okay, so we have everything aligned here. We will start by getting these huge bolts back in place. Then we'll move this out all the way to here and get these tiny ones put back in. So we're going to do a little cheating here. Since the magnetic screwdriver is not long enough on there, just going to attach a magnet to the end of this one and then get the screw on there. Then we got it in place. And we'll do the same thing with the other side. Okay, we got both those in. We can put our magnet back up. And then since this is all put back together now, we will test it out with power again. Turn the power on, press the open button, and then press the button again to close it. Hey, and there we go. It opens and closes correctly now. So now we'll put everything else back together. We have our digital video cartridge. So when you're feeding this back in, from the bottom you can see there are those 2 spots there. Those line up with these metal tabs sticking out. So you have to get those spots over those metal tabs there. And then everything else should just set down. We'll get our cables back up here, and it's 2 brown cables in each of these spots. The ones that go in this spot come directly off the power board right here. There's a little yellow adapter here. And then they circle under these cables here, a brown and a blue, and then connect up here. And then from this area, it connects to where the power button is. So just remember, the one you are aligning in these areas is the one that goes from this board to the power button. So then from this side, make sure that board is in place securely. And then from there, you'll attach the longer screws into the back here on the top, bottom, left, and right. Then when those 4 screws are in, we'll get the 2 small screws put in up here. So these are the screws that are the same size as all the ones for the outer shell. Then our final step is to put on the top part of the case. So you just kind of slide it down into the opening there, and then it goes straight down. That kind of takes up the whole screen here, but we have 2 screws will go on this side, 2 will go on this side, and then 3 go along the back. Now for the fun part where we test this out. Make sure everything still works on it. Had the leg of the camera was in the way, so I had to move it out of the way. One of the few discs I actually have for this right now is chess. There we go, it closed right up. Let me know in the comments if this is your first time seeing a CDI in action. I know it is a very rare thing to actually get to see. Some nice classical music this game has. Now you won't hear this currently in stereo because I'm just using the connections that I used recently for the NES on here. So I only have one of the audio cables plugged in. There we go, made my first move. So yeah, hopefully this was helpful for you. Getting to be able to see how to take apart a CDI, how to access the belt to be able to replace it. So if you have any questions or anything, then let me know in the comments. If you enjoy watching these retro consoles get taken apart and repaired, put back together, or even just cleaned, or anything fun like that, then make sure to subscribe to the channel. I do have more videos on the way of different consoles getting repaired, just different weird things going on with them. Also have some customizations on the way. So thank you for watching. Have a nice day.